Hello, I am live, and this is a new thing. So, new year, new thing. I wanted first to thank everybody for the love on the New Year's Eve reading that I did. That was kind of a first as well, though I had done the one pre Thanksgiving, but I'll be doing more regularly. I'm working on that. It's interesting because I realize that I don't talk a lot about what I do because I've been doing it for so long, it seems kind of obvious to me how intuition helps people. But I decided that I needed to talk more about that, especially because I've got some really fun things coming up this month. The first of which is a special on my half hour readings, which are great for specific, like focusing on a specific topic or aspect of your life, or just kind of getting a broad overview is really lovely. And so, as a January special, those are $50. And the link will be in my bio. And then the other thing I have coming up later this month is my new course. And I was originally going to start it December 1st. But who was I kidding? Hello. It was the holidays and it was COVID and there was a lot going on. And so I decided to start it instead in January. So it'll either start the 12th or the 19th, depending on people's availability. Um, but first, I wanted to just kind of talk more about me, which I don't do a lot. And so I have been reading intuitively for 20 plus years, professionally for at least that. And most people find me at the Renaissance Festival outside Charlotte in North Carolina every fall. I've This last fall would have been my 11th year, and so definitely missed it, but I appreciate uh, the reasoning and making the right choice to cancel it. Um, and so, as a reader, which is kind of what I've been calling myself for the last few years, I realized that I'm a little bit more than that. Well, I'm a lot more than just a reader. So, intuitive advisor is kind of my go-to title for myself because I think it encompasses what I do, which is help people connect with their own intuition and give them advice and, help them as a non judgmental guide, because we know what we know and it's just a matter of connecting within that. And so I love helping people do that. And most of the ways that I have previously done that is through the tarot or oracle card readings. And so I approach those um, in my own way, as any reader does. We all have our own style. I happen to approach it very much from the empowering and heads up kind of approach, then this is definitely going to happen and this is how you have to handle it. Sometimes that works. For me, I find that I would rather tell you what I see coming up and help you see it so that you can then make the best decisions for yourself. Because I'm an advisor, I'm a guide, but I am not one to say you absolutely have to do this. Well, except for when I give homework. But the homework is usually fun. So I do enjoy that. And I have been intuitive my whole life. Like, I can't remember a time when I was not aware of there being more than just what we see and can touch and feel. And that is also something that makes me a little more unique in the realm of intuitive advisors and readers, because there wasn't a time where I let anybody else disconnect me from that. But it has taken me a lot of years to connect to it regularly because it is a practice. And by the way, when I talk about intuition, I'm talking about the gut, the instincts, the little voice in your head, the angel on your shoulder. the way that you know what you know without necessarily knowing what you know or why you know it. And it's also just that sense of rightness or wrongness, depending on where you are or what you're doing. And it's that like tug from our heart that's like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what is right for me. And intuition is also at its core, or at its most basic, it's the knowing the phone's going to ring before it does, or thinking about somebody and then they give you a call or send you a text, or you see them in an email. And so those kind of coincidences, synchronicities, intuitive pings, as they were, are all things that I consider to be part of intuitive work. And some of the things I also think about in terms of intuitive processes is working with the energetics. And so whether that is a spiritual practice or a meditative practice, it's kind of both and more. And a big part of this is also kind of knowing where your energy lives and where your energy connects most with you and with the world. And so that's why I have this class starting later this month. It's going to be a 5-week course. It'll be 2 weeks on a Zoom, or 2 hours on a Zoom together in a group, where part of it will be learning new tools and tricks and tips, and having opportunities also to connect with those. And one of the first ones is connecting with our spirit place or our power place on the astral realm. And so it is great for people who already have some spiritual inclination, because we'll be working with some different tools as well, from cards to crystals to spirit guides. So I'm really excited about it. And the reason that I wanted to do this live, especially today, is because I wanted to also talk about how what seems obvious to me as a practiced intuitive is not obvious to a lot of people. And I forget that. And so I have been working on that in kind of how I'm showing up online more. But I figured for my first real live, I would just focus on that specifically, which is we all have intuition and we all have these, pings or signs and symbols that show up for us that kind of point us in the right directions. And the more that we are aware of those, the easier that we can receive the message. And so connecting with your intuition helps from everything from internal self-esteem and feeling good in your body and in yourself, to knowing exactly the next step that is best for you. So it's super wide and all encompassing, and I love it. And at the same time, I also forget that people don't all know that. So what other questions that come up with that? So part of connecting with your own intuition is leaning more into your purpose, whether that is a lifelong purpose or the purpose for where you are in your life right now, or simply being the best that you can be, is also purpose. So a lot of times people are like, well, what's my purpose? And that can be answered in a lot of different ways. But for this purpose, focus in terms of on intuition and my new course, it is very much about focusing on what's our next best step, and trusting in that and embracing that. And it's also about learning tools that are both energetic and esoteric in the, intangible realms, but also practical, like pretty gemstones that give me comfort when I'm doing something new that's a little scary because, hello. So there are lots of tools at our disposal when it comes to connecting with and listening to our intuition. And I will be teaching a bunch of those in the new course. And the whole purpose of the 5 weeks and the setup is the weekly Zoom group, but also a couple of one-on-one sessions with me where we're going to do readings focused on, how you can get the most out of the course for your unique situation while still creating safe space in a group setting. And there will be homework, but it'll be fun and informative and helpful because otherwise, what's the point? And there's also something else I wanted to mention specifically about that. Because, of course, I made notes and I'm jumping all over them. So it's also about daily practice and creating a daily practice. And I especially love working with queer folk because there's already a connection usually with knowing yourself. Because when you show up a little different, i.e. not cis heterosexual white people, then you have to step outside those bounds already. But also, I think, any marginalized group has the need for connecting with intuition, with their own unique truths, so that they can stand more in their power and hopefully make it a little bit more or less limited. More or less limited? But of course, the course is open to anyone who is interested and called to really tap into their inner wisdom, because our bodies and our brains and our intuition and the universe and the whole world and people around us are sending us signals all the time. And sometimes it can be really overwhelming. And so the first week of the work that we'll be doing is grounding and getting really centered within ourselves, because especially for empaths, like, the world's a noisy place. And so being able to quiet it down a little bit so you can really hear yourself and not hear your shoulds or other people's shoulds and judgments, but really be able to hear the truth. And that is really cool, because as I've become more focused on building Spiral Intuitive and growing it full time, I realize also that a lot of people talk about their big whys, WHY. And my big why my whole life has been to help people in one way or another. That's what it boils down to. And I'm incredibly lucky because I've had some wonderful people in my life who let me help them. And there also have been thousands of wonderful clients who have let me help them. And I hope that there are many, many more in the future. And I want to help people find their purpose too and see how that shows up. Because, again, our purpose can change in lifetimes and also within one lifespan. And that is a good thing, because, change is the only constant. And so I really love that aspect of what I do and who I am, is being able to help people and tap into the information that we have readily all the time, but it gets blocked a lot. And some people are so blocked, unfortunately, that they can't even see that they're blocked with it, and therefore just keep going from one to the next of resources. And I am much more about wanting people to become empowered within themselves. Like, I love teaching tools and skills so that you can apply it in multiple different areas of your life and at different times. And some tools work better than others. And some tools are comforting and nourishing, whereas some are a little more aggressive and um, not destructive, but more forceful, maybe is a word. There are the tools that you use to screw something in, and then there are the tools that you use to knock something down. And that applies to intuitive tools and energetic spaces as well. So I think that covers what I was going to talk about today. And I will be posting more about both the special that I have this month for 30 minutes at $50 instead of the regular $80 as a nice January kick off the new year special. And then later this month as well, I will be starting my new 5-week course that's all about activating your intuition and stepping into your purpose. So stay tuned, and thanks so much for watching, and happy Sunday. All right, bye-bye.